Impossible. The Sith have been extinct for a millennium.
So we just finished the live Acolyte trailer reaction, and one of the main things that was popping up in chat, there were 5,000 of you there live, and some of the things that I see in the comments quite a bit for even the trailer, which is doing over what, 2.5 mil now. We got 97,000 upvotes, 74,000 dislikes. Something I see is that people are quoting Ki-Adi-Mundi, and Ki-Adi-Mundi said that the Jedi have not seen the Sith for over a millennium, for over 1,000 years.
Impossible. The Sith have been extinct for a millennium.
So how is the show going to make sense? The show will make sense only if all of the Jedi who see a red lightsaber, dark side force user, Sith, whatever the heck it may be, die.
What is that?
Everyone in this show who comes across a Sith, a red lightsaber, has to die, and they cannot pass the information to anybody. Anybody they pass the information to also has to die. Otherwise, it will not make sense for the prequel trilogy. In order for this to happen, you have to basically kill every messenger that lays eyes or understands or sees what the possible Sith could be, or the red lightsaber could be, or whoever it is that's killing all these Jedi. Because if you don't, it will be a major continuity issue when it comes to Ki-Adi-Mundi and all of the Jedi for the last 1,000 years. So they've kind of played this game of Clue, where everyone who dies and everyone who sees the killer or whoever has to also perish. They cannot be alive. And if one survives, like this was one of the main issues, one of the huge issues with the Kenobi show, is that Reva knows that Anakin Skywalker is Darth Vader, who has a son named Luke Skywalker who lives on Tatooine, and she gets away with that information. This is vital. Obi-Wan should have killed her right then and there. You cannot have someone know that kind of information that is extremely, extremely important to keep private. Only Yoda, Bail Organa, and Obi-Wan knew of this information. And of course, Owen and Aunt Beru, Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru. But, Luke didn't even know, right? So you have to make sure that everybody in this show who figures out that a Sith is alive or a Sith is in the scene has to die, not just for two reasons, not just for one. Ki-Adi-Mundi, of course, the Jedi haven't seen a Sith in 1,000 years, but also Darth Maul was the first Sith in 1,000 years, but also Darth Tenebris, Darth Plagueis. So if this is 100 years before Episode 1, Darth Plagueis is about 15 years old, so it doesn't matter. But Darth Tenebris is very much alive, and that was Darth Plagueis' master, the Bith. It's very old. He is very much alive, and he has a good scope on the galaxy, on everything. And so he can sense if something is off or something is going on. If they want to ignore that, fine, whatever, don't even mention them. But you have to make sure that nobody knows that this Sith or that this dark side user is alive. So they themselves have to die. The Jedi that they see have to die. They have to kill the Jedi, or the Jedi who find out about them or see them behind like a tree or whatever, eavesdropping. They also have to die. Nobody can survive in this show that knows about the Acolyte. Plain and simple. So whatever happens in this show, everybody has to perish. Nobody can survive. I don't see any other sort of outcome. And if they do, it's not going to make sense when Ki-Adi-Mundi says that we haven't seen a Sith in 1,000 years and that Darth Maul is the first one in The Phantom Menace. It would not make any sense. The Sith have been in hiding. This is how they've survived. They've been in hiding. They've been waiting until the dark side is strong in the Force. And finally, by Episode 3 of Revenge of the Sith, it's very strong, very powerful. So, fine, do what you want before The Phantom Menace, but you gotta make sure it coincides with everything that happened in the prequels with those Jedi of that time and everything that happened in that history. There's 1,000 years we haven't seen a dark side user, so that's what has to happen. The dark sider has to die, and all the Jedi that know about him and see him, her, have to die as well. We'll see what happens. May the Force be with you, and all of us.